Hey, we've got this new proposal tool in the Planning for Profit software, and you want to check it out. But how do you do that if you don't have your equipment in there as of yet? Well, that's the topic of this week's Planning for Profit Minute. In the software itself, we have a sample bit of data built into the software itself. Now, every company, when you initially started your company, you actually had an entire sample company that was built in there. But, so you can play with that if you want. But if you've already built your company, you're good to go at that point. You can actually play with the tool even at this point. There are a couple of quick things that you need to do just to check it out and see how it works. The first thing is we need to go into Setup and actually set up some of the parameters for the proposal tool. So in Setup, we're going to use the proposal tool setup. And in there's a couple of different settings that need to be done. Company logo doesn't need to be put in there, but it's kind of cool if you can see how it works if you upload your logo to the system itself. From there, the required gross profit, there's a couple of areas that you have to fill out, and that's going to be how many jobs per week do you install? We need to know that so we can calculate what is that gross profit that we need to cover per week in each individual job to make sure that we're covering your cost of operation in your company. So number of jobs that you're installing per week. By default, it's going to be set to 4 options. You can just leave that there. That's not a problem itself. Commissions, you don't have to fill that out at this point. That's just a default value that will pop up. A couple of other items on there. So it will be helpful to have 2 different areas. The first one is the default proposal email sent from name. In other words, when you email this proposal to your customer, what name do you want to show up in the email? Now, that does not have to be an email address. That can actually be, right, Joe's Heating and Cooling is what you can put in there, and that's what will show up then in the email as far as who it came from. The other one that you'll want to fill in just a little bit below that is there's an email here for the notification email. In other words, in the proposal tool, you can email this proposal to your customer. It goes off to them in a dynamic format. They can look at it. They can actually choose which option they want and accept it electronically through their email. When that happens, as soon as they accept a job, it's going to send an email to this email address telling you, hey, you've just won this job, right? So it's letting you know that, hey, a customer just accepted a proposal, and it's going to go to this email address. So that would be helpful to fill out that field. Some of the other items that are here in here then is what departments should have access to the proposal tool. Just simply check the departments that you want to have access to the tool itself. They don't all have to be checked. You could just choose individual ones. Now, by default, we've already got some sample data built in here with some pricing, right? So even though there's no pricing in here, again, you could put in your own pricing if you would like. How many labor hours goes into installing that piece of equipment? Right, so you'll fill in those 2 fields, put some data in them. And then as I scroll down a little bit farther, there's just a couple of other elements that you can have that lets you play with the software and see a little bit more about what it's going to do. Scope of work is just general statements, general comments that you could put in there that would simply, these are things that you would likely have on every single proposal, right? So it might be 30-day guarantee. It might be removal of old equipment, right? And it's just what is that statement, right, that you're going to put in there that you want to show up on every proposal? Again, this might be as simple as I'm going to add a statement here in the upper right-hand corner. It might be warranty, right? Equipment is provided with a 10-year parts warranty and a limited lifetime heat exchanger warranty. Whoops. There we go. Right, I'll go ahead and save that one. Let me fix this error. Got to make it professional looking, right? We'll save that. Right? That's now just a scope statement that as I'm creating my proposal, I can now go in and just simply check a box, and that statement would show up on my proposal itself when I'm done. You can have as many of those as you want. When you're done adding them, go ahead and click on Save Those Scope Statements. That locks them into the system and makes them available for your proposals. Discounts. That just gives you the ability, if you want to give, say, a veteran's discount or a returning customer discount, right? You can put those in and it'll automatically factor those into your pricing itself. Not needed, just to check it out. And then terms and conditions, again, you can put something in there that is just a chunk of text detailing your terms and conditions. That way you can see how they show up on your proposal as well. Right, so those are a couple of things that you would put in there. Once I've got that done, now I can go over and play with the proposal tools. And I'm going to do that over in Jobs. Click on Proposal Tool. And now as I'm in here, I can at any point click on Create a New Proposal. It's going to start it from scratch at this point. So I'm going to put in who is my customer. All right, so this is Joe Smith. And Joe is at 123 Any Street, right? Plug that one in. The department, which department is quoting this job? And again, it's important that we know that because that's the department we're going to pull the required gross profit from. Now, in this particular case, I said that both my installation and my service departments were both going to have access to this. So this is the install department. Comfort Consultant, it's whoever the logged in user is that's going to pop up, but you can simply click on that and choose any other consultant that you want to pick as well. The labor rate, that's simply coming from this given department, as well as the over on the other side is the desired net profit. Again, those numbers are coming from the model and how you have this particular department set and created. From there, you can now simply go down and you're going to see in each of your items, I can pick my indoor unit, my outdoor unit, those sample bits of data. We've got some furnaces, some condensing units, some evaporator coils built in there, so you can actually choose them and add them to your particular proposal. Right, so I'll pick my indoor unit, my outdoor unit, going to pick an evaporator coil. That's going to go with that one. All right, so we'll put those together. Actually, we don't need a fan coil on this one, right? I'll just actually take a coil itself. Then I can come down and choose what's the installation material that I need to have. How many of each of these do I need for my particular system, right? I'll choose those. Any notes that you want to have, you can put in that pertain to this particular tier of product. Right, I'll put that in. If I want to choose a financing plan, I can do that. Now, typically, these would be customized specifically for the plans that you would use. It's just sample data in there at this point in time. And then we simply walk down from there. Now, that's setting up the first tier. You're going to do the same things for tiers 2, 3, and 4. And then clicking Recalculate is what locks all this stuff in that you've put in there. When I click on Recalculate, it at that point tells me in the upper right-hand corner briefly that, hey, it's successfully saved this particular tier and you're good to go. So that's kind of a nutshell of how to create the proposal itself. When you're in here at any point, I could click on More Actions, right? And if I wanted to at that point, I can see when it's done, I can email this to my customer. Now, again, this particular proposal is not completed yet, but I could actually view the proposal itself. I've only built the one section here, but it's got that information in place. After I build the other ones, I'll see that information in there as well. Clicking on View the Proposal for that particular tier simply shows you a little bit more detail about that particular item. The individual terms and conditions, the scope statements, all that will show up in this area as well. So it gives you a real quick tour of how do I play with the software just to check out this proposal tool. And that is this week's Planning for Profit Minute.